the minute somebody's like not respecting boundaries or not, I'm just like, I can't. I can't. I'm for mental health. I can't.
I am such a huge Southern Charm fan. I am super excited about Southern Hospitality. I've got to know, what's it been like filming both of these shows?
A lot. It's been a lot. It was just last year was just crazy, and I think also I was so used to COVID and kind of being a little bit lazy, not having to like perform at my highest performance, so to speak, like with mom life and business and then two shows and one of the shows being about my business. So of course I'm just like, my anxiety was like level whatever. No therapist at that point could help me. I was like, shut up. So yeah, it was definitely tricky, but I think you guys are gonna love it. It definitely spoke to my lack of sort of bandwidth with Southern Charm. I have a lot on my plate. And so the minute somebody's like not respecting boundaries or not, I'm just like, I can't. I can't. I'm for mental health. I can't. So yeah, it was a very trying year, but I think the fruits of my labor will be fun to enjoy this year. So I'm really excited for you guys to check out this new show.
Me too. Me too. So you think that filming this kind of played into you not wanting to get into a lot of the drama last season
Well,
on Southern
I
Charm?
yeah, I mean, I definitely think that, we were not filming at the same time, don't get me wrong, but it was still like prep work and business and um, and there's definitely like, people's little whispers about it when I'm just like, it's none of your business. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot of things that played into it. And I just knew that there was going to be no break this year. But again, after COVID, I also had like stronger boundaries where I'm like, okay, no, you can't do this or can't do that, or I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with that, which I know that reality TV people don't like that. Like to, they want you to go in and be who you are when people sort of violate your boundaries, which I think is what you saw of me in the finale. It's like my boundaries are just like violated. Like lower Leva, the one that went to therapy, definitely resurfaces and she's just like, but yeah, and I think probably lower Leva is great TV, but I try to sort of, stay above all that stuff when I can.
Yeah, sometimes lower levels got to come out. The
Yeah.
lower of all of us comes out
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is what it is.
Now, which of your Southern Charm cast members do you think were the most supportive? I know we see some people in the trailer who are coming in and making
Yeah.
cameos.
Well, the girls really like, I'm obviously very close with Naomi and I'm close with Olivia and Taylor and, the especially Olivia and Taylor, like they were all super supportive. Like, should we stop in? Like, are you filming? Like they're really great. Taylor's really good friends with a lot of my staff too, because Taylor's a lot younger than I am. So she's actually very close with a lot of them and you'll see, I think a bit of that, but you'll probably see more of that next season. And Olivia was doing some work for me at Republic as well, so she was doing some social media stuff, so she knows them too. And Naomi's just like ride or die, so anything that I do, she's definitely supportive. And then the rest of the women, I think, were definitely, Shep too. Shep was supportive too. Shep was like, I think it's a great idea. I forgot Shep actually sent me a text and thought and was really nice about it and never gave me pushback. And of course Whitney.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And I saw Patricia
I
goes in
don't
there
hang out
too.
with the boys as much.
Yeah, right.
So
You got 7 million other things going on.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, you'll see most of everybody sort of make cameos and stuff like that. Even at my birthday, you'll see somebody that I did not do well with at the finale sort of come, and that's when she sort of delivers her apology. So that's kind of was a nice thing.
So that kind of leveled things out
Yeah,
between the two of you. Okay, good,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And how was just filming the two different shows? I mean, you're kind of the boss now on Southern Hospitality. Was that different than filming in more of like a peer environment on Southern Charm?
Well, I definitely think like, being a part of a cast is being a part of a cast, right? So you're gonna wait just as long and you still have to be a team player. So like the fourth wall stuff of, filming is sort of the same, except for the other one, it was like obviously I have some producership on it, and it's my business. So I'm hyper aware of everything, and sort of, probably annoying my producers to death because I'm like, how are we shooting this? And what are we doing? And it's like, okay, Leva, you are not like a field producer, get out of here. But I definitely, was probably need to give like Bill Langworthy like a medal of honor for how annoying I probably was every other day. Like, what are we shooting? How are we doing this? Blah, blah, blah. So, but I think was from Vanderpump, our showrunner. And so I think he's probably used to Lisa, she's probably just equally as bossy as I am. So he knows how to deal with this kind of female.
I was gonna say, people are calling this the Southern Vanderpump Rules. People haven't necessarily seen the show yet. Do you agree with that assessment, or how do you feel?
I definitely think there are a ton of parallels. I mean, for sure, they're young. It's probably, I want to say, like one of the youngest shows I think Bravo's has on air. I definitely think, we're both in the business of food and drink, but the club side, which you're going to see more, I mean, we have a restaurant group, but a lot of our spaces are more lounge and club than they are like dinner, we have some dinner spaces too, but you're not going to see that as much. And so that type of business is chaotic, and it's very fast paced, and like your head needs to be in the game. And, I always just say like showtime, or all hands on deck. It's very, at 10 o'clock when you have hundreds of people outside the door, and you have people who are drunk and belligerent, and you have egos, and you have, upset people. And then you have people who also want like a 5-star environment, and you're supposed to keep the level up and the energy up, and people are poking and prodding you all night long. It's like a lot. So that part of it almost feels like below deck to me. Like when it's like they're sailing, and they're like getting the anchor, and like it's just like that to me almost feels like, because they're it's chaos, like people bumping into each other, like trying to get through the crowd. It's very chaotic, and by the end of the night at 2 a.m. you're just like, exhausted. It's a bit of a, I don't know if I'm supposed to say shit show, but it's a little bit of a crazy train for several hours, to the point where it flies by, this business. So that side of it, I think, is you guys will find new and interesting, and, definitely a little bit of Southern charm, because, they all live here, but several of them are like native, like Southern kids. So I think that you'll see a little bit of that. And then there's like the whole hustle game. Like they all have to be about their money. They all have to they're not going to like stay if they don't sell, so you get a little bit of that competitive sort of, the other type of series is where you're like selling homes, like selling Sunset, or, what are the other ones called? Like New York. I watch them all.
Oh yeah. Million dollar listing.
Yeah. $1 million listing. That kind of like, shrewd sort of business stuff, like that happens on a lower level in our business, so like they fight over who's selling the tables and where the money's moving and who's the top seller. And so there's a little bit of that too. So it's almost like I keep calling it a mashup, #mashup.
It sounds like every show that everyone really likes. So
yeah,
it's a good thing.
Get a bit of all of it. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and of course your staff is all like young and good looking and hooking up with each other. Tell me a little bit about dealing with that environment as the boss.
Yeah, it's almost like I remember years ago I was just telling a story about, I think it was during COVID, maybe it was like 2-3 years ago now, beginning of COVID, where I was telling someone, and I was like, I have this girl, Grace Lilly. She can sell like, snow to a snowman. She's incredible on the floor, but she's a lot of work. And I had her on a Zoom meeting, and she was in a bikini top, and, I had to tell her like, this is a management meeting. You should put clothes on, and she was like, I need to get my vitamin D right now. Like, this is the time that I have to get my vitamin D. And I just was like, you people don't know what I deal with, like on a day. I don't want to lose her, but I don't know, and then I have my husband who's like in his office on the other side of the house. He's like, if you don't tell her to put a shirt on right now, we're firing her. And I'm like, no, we're not firing her. She's magic on the floor, so then we have this like marital argument. So I think at that point, I told a story to, it might've been even somebody at Haymaker, and they were like, So that's a show. You know what I mean? So that's epic content. So yeah, it's a lot of that all the time, like it's a lot of that all the time. And you guys are gonna see, what I deal with, which, sometimes is funny, sometimes it's like we're just going mad, and other times it's like it's great. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I definitely think you guys will enjoy it. But I have a full head of gray hair that I dial thanks to these kiddos. But
It
it's
seems very work hard, play hard.
yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is like exactly that. And that's sort of what Lamar and I are. We're very, work hard, play hard. Obviously, I don't play as much now. I'm more work and mom. So my play is more just saved for, mom energy. But, once my son gets a little bit older, I'll probably come right back out to, I like to go out. I feed off people. So I like this business. I like to like make it wonderful and nice and fun. And, I'm probably annoying in other people's restaurants. I'm like, this music is like slightly off. The lighting is slightly off. So I just bring people into my own spaces where I can just change what feels off.
Yeah, you're running the whole party then.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm happy with it.
absolutely. Do you have kind of a member of your staff who you think is just going to be a standout star just from the first season? Anyone who really brought the drama, or you were like, man, you were just amazing on camera?
I mean, I definitely think it's gonna be a crazy season for Mikhail. I think it's gonna be a really interesting season for I mean, I think Grace is probably one of the, and I mean this in the best way, one of the most unique people I've ever met in my life. So I definitely think people are gonna be like, who is this human? I think, you're gonna see they're all so special and interesting. Obviously I've only seen like, the first bit of the show. I think they all are incredibly interesting and deep, and they have a magic about them, and they're charming. Like I picked them on purpose in our business because our business is not about drinks and a banquet. Our business is about people want to come meet people who are like fun and funny and interesting and positive and can keep the party going. And you know what I mean? Like that's who people go out with, right? Like when you're going out on a Friday, you're not like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with this like lame, unfunny, miserable person. I'm going to pick that friend that's like a good time and positive and funny. And like every time I hang out with them, it's like peeling back an onion. That's who you hang out with. And that's who I hire, because that's, who people want to hang out with. And then they come and drink my booze and eat my food and sit at my table. You know what I mean? And that's what Lamar and I used to be, but now we do less because I want to wake up and be a present mom, and also do other things business wise, like let them be on the floor and do the partying. I go home early.
Yeah, those hangovers hit different once you hit a certain
Totally.
age too. Well, are we going to get to see more of your life at home too during this show? I mean, like, what parts of you are we going to get to see that we didn't see maybe in last season of Southern Charm?
Well, I definitely think on Southern Charm, obviously my husband's like just not a big filmer. He just is not, he almost like acts like a robot on television. I'm like, what do you do? What are you doing? What is this? Why are you so stiff? He kind of falls flat, and he's also super like a guy of like 2 words. So I think he's not even like very valuable television. There's a reason we're married, because I'm like, and he's like, yes, no, you catch a little bit of my son, but on this show, I mean, you'll see a little bit of Lamar and I mean, we definitely run the business differently. Our sort of business acumen and business values are slightly different, but I do think that that's why we create really cool things, because, I push on one side and he pushes on another. And the compromise of that creates something cool. And we've learned how to do that dance. I think other people would have maybe not been able to sustain a marriage and business, like when they're literally, it's like a tornado and a tsunami got married. It's just like two really strong people with strong opinions, like two alphas almost. But we figured that out, and that allows us to like create cool things. And so I think you'll see a little bit of Lamar and I, and maybe how much we differ, but like it's more about running the business. And maybe this is a good thing or bad thing, but like a lot of our personal is in the business,
Mm.
like that's where we are on a Friday. Like we're not on date night. We're like at Republic or we're at, Bourbon and Bubbles, and then we're going to the next spot. Like we're really not, um, our personal and business is so intermingled that, the business is personal. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of that. That long-winded answer.
No, I'm excited to see kind of more of you two interacting and how you run the business together and deal with all these wild and crazy kids.
Yeah, yeah. I do a lot more of the dealing. He's more like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Babe, come on. So I definitely have way more patience than he does.
And that's why you're leading the show. Yeah.
Absolutely. If it were up to him, nobody would still be here. So yeah, he definitely is. He's very shrewd, and I definitely think the long game is investing in people and knowing that like humans are humans and we have seasons, and I think that the female energy of future, like the future in business, is female energy, where we understand that people have ebb and flow and they're human and they have good times and bad times, but like the investment for the long game, which is really the most intelligent way to do business, is the long game, is by investing in people and working with them. And yes, you'll have some losses, but I feel like you'll have more wins in the end. So it's more my female energy that deals with the staff. His sort of male, like, no, next. That's where we disagree. So
Yeah, right.
I think you'll catch a little bit of that, honestly, in the first episode. So,
Oh, well, you said that you've seen a little bit of it, but you haven't seen the full season. Is there anything that you're like especially excited to see how it turned out?
I mean, I'm excited to see like just you guys see a completely different side of Charleston. Right now, when you're watching Southern Charm, you're going to see sort of like a little bit of the older like Southern culture and like sort of just all things almost, I don't want to say nostalgic because we still live in that space, but it's kind of like the socialite side of Charleston. And you see a lot of like, basically what people think of Charleston is like what you see sort of on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what you don't think of Charleston about. You know what I mean? Yes, that a lot of them are born and raised here and very Southern, but like you don't know much about like the new South. You don't see that on Southern Charm. You don't see like the coastal side of living here, like the flip-flops and beaches and relaxed, and you don't see the nightlife, which is like, if you come to Charleston any given night and you hit King Street, it's a party, and people don't know that about Charleston. I think once they come here, that's why they come back, is they're like, whoa, this place is so fun. What was your question again? I think.
No, that honestly was a great answer.
Yeah,
I've certainly been to King Street, and it really is
yeah,
quite a blast.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm
it's
excited
just a
for
blast, right? And I think
yeah.
that normal people don't know that about Charleston. They just think of like the historical side and like,
Mhm.
which is all epic and so cool. It's one of the oldest cities in America, right? And all of that is awesome. And so many things about like the old Southern ways and culture are kind of cool, and you kind of do want to keep them, but there are things that aren't that cool. And there's definitely like this young, new blood that is sort of like a new South reemerging in the old, which I think is what you guys are going to see, which I think is going to be cool.
Well, I'm super excited for everyone to see the show, and it sounds like it's going to be absolutely wonderful. So thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm super
Of
cool.
course.
November
Me too.
28th. I think you're going to love it. I think you're going to love it.